There are two ways to get into fly tying, an easy way and a hard way. My name is Alex and I'm one of the team members here at Ventures Fly Co, where we make fly fishing easy. Now personally, I got into fly tying the hard way. Now one of the things that I did right is I decided I was gonna tie a pattern that was easy, simple, and one that I use consistently and catch a lot of fish on, and that's the zebra midge. So I scoured the internet for 30 to 45 minutes and I put together a list of all the materials that I needed to tie the zebra midge. And I headed off to the sporting goods store, super excited to tie my first fly. Now all of that excitement turned into straight panic as I saw the rows and rows of fly tying materials. Now luckily I had my list, so okay. I need a hook. Yeah, I need a hook to tie a fly. Oh gosh, 200 different kinds of hooks. Okay, scud, pupa, merger, heavy wire, extra heavy wire. I don't know. I'll just put both of them in the cart. I don't want to come back, so yeah, we'll do that. Beads. Okay, tungsten, brass, cyclops, slotted. Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll add 4 or 5 of those to the cart. And this proceeded to happen with every single one of the materials on my list. The thread, the wire, the ice dub, but I felt super accomplished because I had reached the end of my list. So I cruised over the cash register, beep, 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 20 bucks, 50 bucks, $100 freaking dollars to tie one pattern? Well, they say this fly tying thing's fun, right? Gotta do what you gotta do. Now, long story short, I had a big bag of tying materials. I was confused. I had completely overspent my budget, and I wasn't even sure if I had everything I needed to tie a simple zebra midge. Now, luckily I did, but I would say 80 to 90% of that stuff I had in that bag, I didn't really need. In fact, I think it might still be sitting on my tying desk. Now, after a little more effort, I was able to tie up a zebra midge. And it just so happened that I caught my biggest trout on that exact zebra midge that I tied. It was fulfilling, it was exciting, and it helped me push through that learning curve of starting to tie my own flies. I started to become more familiar with the materials and get into it little by little. And then about 1.5 years ago, we were sitting there as a team talking about how we had all gotten into fly tying. And it was funny because we all had pretty similar experiences. We all got into it the hard way. And that's where the idea for this masterclass was born. But we didn't just stop there. We also decided to design and manufacture a vise that's perfect for beginners. We also put together some tool kits that has everything a beginner needs to get started. And then we also crafted some material kits so that you'll never have to go through what I did at that sporting goods store ever again. This beginner tying masterclass, the vise, the tools, and the material kits were designed to work in unison and create the easy way to get into fly tying. Now don't worry, if you don't have the vise or the tools or a material pack, you're still gonna be able to complete this entire course. It's just gonna take a little bit of extra work on your end to find what you need. So by the end of this course, you'll know exactly what you need to get started. Vise, tools, materials, we're gonna take a deep dive into each of them, and we'll talk about if it's better to buy them individually or in a kit. You'll develop the skills and techniques to go from beginner to intermediate fly tyer in 30 days or less. And we're gonna do this through the BITS method, which we'll talk about a little bit later. You'll become a self-sufficient tyer, so you'll be able to tie the flies that you wanna tie, and you'll know how to develop additional techniques and skills as you move on to intermediate and advanced patterns. And then finally, you're gonna learn how to save money in the long run by tying your own flies. So this masterclass consists of 5 different modules. This is module 1, a little introduction. In module 2, we'll talk about the vise and the tools. In module 3, we're gonna dive into the materials. So hooks, thread, beads, hackle, wire, feathers. Module 4 is the meat of the course. where you'll actually develop techniques and practice certain patterns, which we'll talk about more in detail in a second. And then Module 5 is all about learning how to tie more advanced patterns and save money. So as promised, let's talk a little bit more about the BITS method. Beginner to intermediate technique stacking. You can see why we had to come up with an acronym that's quite a mouthful. It consists of 3 different parts. Number 1, we're gonna introduce a few techniques. For example, the pinch wrap or the 45-degree rule. And number 2, you're gonna practice those techniques by tying a specific pattern. So the pinch wrap, the 45-degree rule are both used when tying the San Juan worm. And then after you've tied that pattern a number of times and gotten those techniques down, you're gonna add those techniques to your stack. And so by the end of this masterclass, you'll have stacked up and developed 33 different techniques. And at the same time, you'll have learned to tie 10 different patterns. And so why did we come up with the BITS method? Why did we lay out the course in this way? Now, these aren't just random techniques that we pulled out of a hat. All of these techniques and these patterns are gonna come together. And they're gonna create a super strong foundation that's gonna give you the freedom and the knowledge and the experience to move on to intermediate and advanced patterns without much difficulty. So this was just a little introduction, a little roadmap of where we are and where we're going throughout this masterclass. But I don't know about you, I'm ready to rumble. So let's dive into Module 2, where we'll be talking about the tools and the vise and what you'll need to get started.